Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA front office show. Also have the basketball bulletin crowd hanging out too. We figured, why not? Let's do a live show. Let's all hang out in here and talk a little bit about what's going on. The day slipped away from us, so we said, let's do an evening live show tonight. Let's just get on this thing. And we'll talk about the Kawhi Leonard situation. We'll talk about some of the latest news around the NBA, plus take some of your questions and comments. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications as well. I'm Trevor Lane. He's Keith Smith. Keith, my goodness. This Kawhi, this really is never going to end, is it?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we're to the point where this will just be life. I don't know if it's not even fun, so I don't even want to create like a regular funny drop like we had for Kevin Durant. And,
we need to make a very slowly growing tree.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's what it would have to be, or a very slowly dying tree, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, it's and I know a lot of people are probably still watching Pablo Torres live right now, but he is he was giving some new updates, I guess, and what those new updates were is that it is Kawhi Leonard has some weird investment connection to the Rhode Island Football Club. Of all things, it is in a position where Rhode Island Football Club is a USL club, so that's like the next level down from MLS. They are an expansion team that's in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and Kawhi basically put in some money towards them along with Uncle Dennis, and Steve Ballmer somehow tied into the team as well. And it's all messy. There is those LLCs that were created that apparently tells us what the RFIC in the LLCs were. There were KL2 RIFC Real Estate and KL2 RIFC LLC directly. So it sounds like those were both related to this Rhode Island Football Club. Who knows what else all went on there? It's all, very, very weird, but it's there. And then Baxter Holmes reported that if the NBA and the Clippers and the Raptors and everybody can't all agree on what's going on with punishment wise, that we could see this drag into 2027, which is not where I think anybody wants to be.
So that's just it, right? This is effectively if the Clippers don't agree, whatever information comes out, if the parties involved don't agree with the information, which if any wrongdoing is found, they're going to say, we don't agree. This is not getting done anytime soon, because then they can send it to arbitration and then it's going to go on and on. It's going to continue. And the Clippers have made it clear that they're going to fight this all the way through. So the only way that this ends anytime soon, and we don't even know if it'll be like within the next few weeks, but the only way this ends anytime soon is if it comes out that no wrongdoing happened whatsoever. Otherwise, anything that comes back against the Clippers, against Kawhi, against anybody, the team, the NBA Players Association, they're going to raise hell. It's going to go to arbitration, and then we're going to be stuck in this situation for the remainder of the calendar year plus. So what the hell does that mean for the Kawhi Leonard trade?
Yeah.
What do you do if you're Toronto?
Pull this question from the chat. If the end of the investigation isn't in sight, do you think the Raptors will back out of the trade? If so, how would they pivot from a likely fractured relationship with Ingram? One reason why this question kind of drew my eye. The investigation is reportedly done. That part is now finished. It is now in the hands of Adam Silver and the NBA to determine what is going on here. So now it is, what was found? What are the appropriate punishments, if any, with this, and where do we all go with this? So this was, kind of, let's see. And yeah, I would say at some point, probably, let's call it within the next month-ish. And the reason why I'm putting that as the timeline on this for the Raptors to kind of say, you know what, hey, we're just out, is let the Clippers deal with whatever they're going to deal with. Or the Raptors say, all right, you know what, we'll just push the trade through and we'll deal with whatever we're going to deal with. The reason why I'm putting that timeline, that's roughly Labor Day Labor Day is about when players start heading back to the markets that the teams are in for informal workouts for a week or two ahead of training camps opening. So that's kind of when you sort of want to have your roster more or less finished. It's right around Labor Day. That's also when front offices are getting in their final vacations and final time off as they gear up for what's going to be the long run into the season and into the next off season. So that is where I would say it is now. Do the Raptors back out of the trade? Yeah, maybe. What do they do with Ingram at this point? I don't know. Do you turn around and try to find another trade for Ingram? Do you just say, hey, we're all professionals here. Just come back and we'll figure it out.
Exactly. And that's what I get a lot of people that say, well, they can't bring him back. Well, yeah, they can.
Sure.
It might not be the most comfortable thing to do, but you could bring the players back and say, look, this is what it is. This happens sometimes. It happened with Dalton Connect. It happened with Mark Williams, right?
Yep.
Where a trade gets undone. Sometimes that it's rare, but it can happen. And so you just expect the players to be professionals. Now, we've seen situations happen where, things don't exactly get smoothed over quickly between the team and the player, and then ultimately another move gets made. But this is not where anybody wants to be. The Raptors want Kawhi Leonard. The Clippers want the picks and stuff that was going to be coming and players that were going to be coming their way. Yeah. Nobody wants to be in this situation, but I also know the Clippers, they're not going to want to just accept any punishment that gets doled out, that gets given to them, if there is one. I think it would take some type of irrefutable evidence of wrongdoing for them to just roll over and say, okay, that's it. You got us. Right. Yeah. And we'll accept the punishment. So if there is any wrongdoing found, and we can argue over whether or not it's reasonable to think there will be, but if there is, this is not ending anytime soon, and this could jeopardize this entire trade. Or perhaps they could they go back to the drawing board and say, the Raptors say, look, we know there could be a punishment coming. What if Kawhi is suspended half the year? What happens then? We're still willing to do the trade because we don't want to undo this whole thing, but we need to take a draft pick out or something. Could we see something like that happen?
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is something there where they rework the terms of the trade. And remember, this trade never even got as far as a trade call, because that's when the NBA said, hey, just so you know, Toronto, if there is punishment that comes towards Kawhi specifically, and he is on your roster, will still come towards him, and you'll have to deal with whatever the fallout is. The league was very clear. If the Clippers are being punished, the Raptors would not get any kind of punishment added on to them for trading for Kawhi Leonard. But if there's a punishment towards Kawhi, whatever that is, the Raptors have to deal with. So then they basically said, you know what, we're not gonna, let's hold on this trade. Let's wait and see what is happening. But I mean, we're now almost a month. We're over 3 weeks away from that all coming out in the beginning part of the month of July. So, I mean, we're getting towards a month from even that happening, that the trade has been put on hold. So we're really in just a weird place with this whole thing where, I'm 100% on board with what you said, where like other trades have been undone before and guys have had to go back, but that was like within days. This is like a month later. And I would imagine Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and Kawhi Leonard would like to know, like, where am I going to live next year? Like, where am I going to play? Like, how's this all going to work out, for me? And, where are we going with this? So, that's like kind of the residual fallout on all this, is that those guys have to be sitting there saying like, man, I just – can I know what's going on, for next season with this? Never mind, like the team, like, are we going to have these guys? Are we not going to have these guys? I think for the Clippers side, I think they would be just as happy to push this trade through, right, and get Kawhi out, get the draft.
I thought that was a great deal for them.
Yeah, and then just kind of move forward with whatever you're doing next. They're clearly in a rebuild phase, let's just call it, or a rebuild-ish kind of phase. And then if you're the Raptors, the difference of having Kawhi or not is the difference of, are we maybe contenders in the East, or are we just another good team in the East? And that's kind of the difference there. So this is definitely a really like we're kind of in unknown territory here at this point.
And let's tie in something else here, and that's the restricted free agency of Benedict Mathurin.
Yeah.
Now there's word that the Pelicans could be interested in potentially giving him an offer, maybe trying to move off of Jordan Hawkins in order to get something like that to ultimately come to fruition and give him an offer sheet. The Bulls reportedly interested as well. What could this mean for the Clippers? Are they somewhat paralyzed in their decision making on whether or not they would match an offer sheet to Benedict Mathurin? And we should also loop in that they have been mentioned as a potential landing spot in a sign and trade for Peyton Watson. What would all this mean for the Clippers' other business?
Yeah, I think if you're the Clippers with Mathurin, there's I've been kind of told two different paths for them with Mathurin. One is the path of, hey, we're kind of good if he signs the qualifying offer and we do something short term, because that allows them, whether it is next summer or the summer after, to potentially open up over $100 million in cap space. And really between that, finally having some draft capital, they can start to move on with like post Kawhi PG life out there now in LA's other teams. So now with Mathurin too, I've also been told they really like him and they would be happy to have him back on a long-term deal, kind of alongside Darius Garland, and ideally maybe even someone like Peyton Watson, if they can work out a sign and trade, something like that. But my guess is until they have clarity on what's going on with Kawhi, everything's probably on hold for them to some extent. We've seen them make a couple smaller moves to kind of fill out the roster, because you have to. At some point, you got to move on and put together a team. Here is where only, I know it sounds crazy to say this, but thankfully we're only 2 months from training camp. So which may it's gonna be a long 2 months.
that sounds like so far.
So
it's only 2 months, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's like when you're on a road trip and you got to go to the bathroom and the next exit's still 40 miles away, right? Like that's when it's like, are we gonna get there? Like, what's happening? Well, in that 40 miles somehow feels like it takes 5 hours to get through. But anyway, it's I mean, it's you got to start moving forward at some point. So yeah, I think it's going to be probably just a little bit on hold. And if you're Mathurin, if you're the Bulls one, I don't know about that one. That one doesn't make a ton of sense to me. They have the room exception. If I'm Mathurin, I'm like, I don't really want to play for the room exception. I think I'd rather just sign the QO and go into unrestricted free agency. If the Pelicans can get off Jordan Hawkins and maybe one other salary and get to a place where they have the full non-taxpayer, then if I'm Mathurin, I would be like, all right, I'm a little more interested. Like that's probably more in the range of what I'm going to get anyway. So let's take a look at that. And that kind of, as an aside, weird fit in New Orleans. Like I don't really get it, but I don't get anything that I was going to say. I don't get anything that they're doing, but in reality, the proper way to phrase that is I don't get anything that they're not doing, because they haven't done anything other than re-sign DeAndre Jordan.
New Orleans is strange. I mean, they're that team that right now is so difficult for anybody to trade with. They're demanding sky high. They're demanding prices as though they're this like top tier club and have all of these proven playoff.
Trevor, anytime you can keep a 26 win team together, you got to
do it. They seem to believe that, and you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe they'll prove me wrong next season. But they seem to believe that if they could just stay healthy, they're actually secretly a really, really, really good team. That's how they're behaving.
Let's do this for a second here, since we're on the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I'm just going to run through some of the guys on the team here.
Okay.
Roster wise, because I'm very curious to see if you're kind of having the same thoughts. Sadiq Bey, Jeremiah Fears, Jordan Hawkins, Herb Jones, DeAndre Jordan, we know, veteran guy, Carlo Makovich, okay, Bryce McGowans, Yves Missi, Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray, Micah Peavy, Jordan Poole, Derek Queen, Zion Williamson. Like, what, 12 of those guys? I'm like, I kind of like that guy. I kind of like that guy.
Sure.
I kind of like that guy. And then I get to the end and it's like, I don't like any of them together and they all stink when they're a unit. So like, why are we bringing this group back? I just don't get it.
That's just it. Is there are plenty of guys that you kind of like as a guy on a team, not as the backbone of a team. There's a bunch of guys that you could say, hey, this guy, look, Trey Murphy would be a great third guy on a team. If you're asking him to be the guy on a team, you're asking him to do too much. You've got
Zion was really good and healthy last year. There's still like a world where like Zion's this awesome all-star. I like Fears and Queen as well. I think those guys are going to develop. Sadiq Bey's become a really good role player. DeJounte Murray at the end of last season looked like he was kind of getting himself together a little bit and figuring out. Herb Jones, still one of the best defenders in the league. But yeah, altogether, it's just like, man, what are we doing here? Like, why?
They are that team that has a bunch of guys, but has not found their star yet. And Zion is supposed to be that, but he's not. He's not. He's just not quite that level. They're a team that has a bunch of guys who would look a lot better if they had a star, 2 stars, something like that. But they're also paying a bunch of money to Jordan Poole. I know he expires. DeJounte Murray. It's just a bunch. It's an island of misfit toys. That's what this is, and that's why there's teams that are interested, because there are teams that'll look at a guy and go, you know what, Herb Jones doesn't make any sense on this team right now, but for us, he would make sense plugging him into an already established team. There's a bunch of guys you could plug into an already established team, but they're not guys that together make sense as a team of under themselves.
Yeah, there's like a lot of overlap. We saw last year Queen and Zion can't really play together. Murray is now blocking Fears. Like, it's just weird stuff with the way this team is put together.
Do you remember Voltron?
Yeah, of course.
Defender of the universe.
Yes.
Right? This is what this is. This is like, remember there was Voltron, then there were like the knockoff versions of it. And then you get Power Rangers and stuff like that. This is like, rather than having all the lions to form Voltron, you're mixing in some Power Rangers, you're throwing in some knockoff Voltron. Like, the color schemes are all out of whack.
And you're like having to like really wedge them together.
Exactly. Right? Like the guy, your Voltron robot like walks with a limp and everything. And rather than a sword, you've got an old straw that you taped into his hand because the sword broke off long ago. That's the Pelicans as a team right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's this is rather than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. This is the whole does not equal the sum of the parts.
The whole is collapsing onto the sum of the parts in this situation.
So but I mean, so let's see where that goes with this. But I mean, the Clippers are kind of tied in on a bunch of different stuff. We got a couple other news topics. We'll start pulling a couple more questions from the chat. DeMar DeRozan, sounds like his market's picking up a little bit. We've heard the Heat and the Cavs, especially now that both of those teams did not get LeBron. Sounds like DeMar DeRozan may be kind of option number 2 that they could turn to. And then the Wizards were thrown out there as a team that is interested in DeMar DeRozan as well. So let's see where that goes. And the Wizards, that'd be another veteran guy alongside AD, Trae Young, Chris Middleton. I know we've had our laughs at DeAndre Ayton, but still a veteran guy who's been around on there. And you had DeMar DeRozan now, that's another guy to throw in. I don't necessarily love it because I think they've already got more than enough wings. So I'd rather just have those guys play. But let's see. I think he would mean a lot more to the Heat or the Cavs.
I think the Wizards are just looking around and going, let's get one more guy that Anthony Davis can talk to. Let's get one more guy that
like George Clooney in Ocean's 11. You think we need one more?
We need one more. I love that. I love that scene. I want to know, who is it that decided that Brad Pitt doesn't need to even respond?
Yes,
that was brilliant. That was brilliant. He doesn't react at all, and George Clooney just knows. That was great.
Brad Pitt starts every scene in that movie eating. He's eating something in every scene, so that's also there too. That's one of my favorites. I love that movie.
It is one of my all-time, like, I just need something on.
Yeah.
I can put that on at any time. I've probably seen it over 100 times at this point. I can just throw that movie on at any time and love it.
We'll pull this real quick from the chat. Devin Hurdy Guitar says the new Pablo Torre Kawhi video was amazing. Everyone make sure you check it out after the stream. Yeah, our plan was to go live after that it ended, but I think it ran a little longer than maybe they were expecting it to. So just summarizing it for those who maybe haven't had a chance to see it yet. Basically what they said is that they if you remember when they broke all the news, there's a couple of the LLCs that were tied into Kawhi getting payments and money were KL2, which we know is Kawhi Leonard 2, because his jersey number is 2. RIFC Real Estate and KL2 RIFC LLC. And everybody's like, what is RIFC? Well, they found out RIFC stands for Rhode Island Football Club, which Kawhi Leonard, Uncle Dennis, and some others are investors in there, as well as they apparently got some money or at least advice or something from Steve Ballmer. There was a lot of nebulous connections there. I don't think anything that came out of that is going to be anything that's going to cause Adam Silver and the NBA to say, hey, we've got to get, reopen the investigation,
right,
or anything. And who knows, they may have already had that information themselves too. And they did reference that at one point. They said we don't know, other than I think they asked the law firm, and the law firm gave the very standard like no comment on that. So let's see. But there were points where RIFC was keeping it very quiet with this, and then there was they weren't saying very much, and then they were like, yeah, Kawhi's one of the investors. It's just just very, very weird. But go check it out. It's, I mean, if nothing else, it's really good investigative journalism that kind of
big story.
How do I put it, like class on how you do that kind of work.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job. It's the reason why this whole thing is happening right now. All right, let's we'll hit on a couple of our remaining news topics, then we're going to dedicate the rest to the chat here. Draymond Green waived his implied no trade clause. Signing a 1-year contract automatically triggers an implied no trade, but with the not new, but with the current CBA, let's say, came in the rule that could be waived. And so he did wind up waiving that. That's interesting to me. Like, we heard rumblings that the Warriors might move Draymond Green last year at the trade deadline had it yielded Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Do you think he finishes the year as a Golden State Warrior?
I don't know. I kind of wonder. I think probably he does. And then I still believe like him, Steph, and Steve Kerr are all going to go out together, but who knows? I think it's I think with really all of those guys, it's more likely that any of them don't kind of finish there at this point. So let's see. I think with Draymond, what is very interesting here is like it was reported, and then he said like, yeah, I just basically the contract I'm signing is the same as the contract that I did, same as the player option I gave up. I didn't have a no trade clause in that. The one difference is he does have a trade bonus in this 1-year deal of 15%. So he does have that in there. What's also interesting is he is eligible. He could have gotten the full, like actual no trade clause, like what LeBron had with the Lakers for the last couple of years, and now Damian Lillard has with the Trailblazers, but he didn't ask for that and then waived the other. He's the 14th player this offseason to waive the no trade clause, the implied no trade clause, which is becoming more and more of a thing where we're seeing where guys are doing that.
I think we're seeing teams push for that more. Say, hey, if you want to sign this kind of a contract, you need to waive the no trade. We need to have the flexibility to make a move if we need to. All right, last thing we've got here, then we're going to get into the chat. The Sixers trade Janai Broom to clear room for KCP. I'm sorry.
I was trying to come up with a way to like bring KCP into that better with so it would continue to rhyme, and I just couldn't get there.
Oh, we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
But Broom winds up going to the Clippers in this deal. So a small move that the Clippers are making here. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is going to wind up. Did he officially sign yet?
I don't know that he has. I have not seen it today.
He cleared waivers.
But yeah, he did clear waivers, so it'll just be a matter of time. And KCP gave up the exact amount he will get in the contract from the Sixers in his buyout agreement with the Grizzlies. That's become very standard practice where guys will give that up. And now, different from LeBron, they'll both actually make $3.9 million this year. But because LeBron signed the 2-year deal, he counts at $3.9 million, even they're both on veteran minimum exceptions rather. KCP is only signing the 1 year, so he'll only hit the books at $2.4 million. And then they'll have a little bit of play. I think it's sometime in December when they'll be able to add a 15th player, but they'll probably, like a lot of teams do, they'll let that run probably till the post trade deadline and see what it looks like after that.
All right, so there's another little bit of business that got done, and I think that was kind of for our news.
Yeah, for news, yeah, it's been relatively quiet over the last couple days here.
Okay, let's get into the chat. Then we'll take your questions, your comments.
And if anybody's I saw a few people like, wait, did I miss some kind of big trade or something? You didn't. It's just we due to travel and a bunch of stuff, we had one show this week. We wanted to get another one in before the Friday show. I'm very busy all day tomorrow, so wanted to get a show in tonight. And in full disclosure, I looked up at one point today. I legit thought it was like 1:30 or 2, and it was 5:30. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, where did the entire day go? So that's why we're here. Not really late night, but later
than we would typically go. All right. Before we get into your questions and comments, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. You guys can check them out. Whoops, I should have gone the 2-man version. Here, let me do that. There we go. We'll just drop Keith out for a moment. Sorry, Keith. Prize Picks, if you could play $5, get $150 if you win. Great promo going on right now. The link is in the description down below. The code is HMA. Never been a better time to go check out Prize Picks. Again, new users play $5, get $150 in your lineups. If you win, all you got to do is pick more or less on some of your favorite players. And you can mix and match sports. So I'm going Jessica Shepard, more than 14.5 rebounds and assists. You can see that game is actually live right now. So even during a live game, you can pop in and check it out. And then Yordan Alvarez, I'm going more than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs combined. So mixing and matching sports there. If you guys want to get in on it, again, use the link in the description down below. The code, it's HMA. New users play $5, get $150 if you win. Go check out Prize Picks. All right, Keith, let's get into some of the questions and comments coming in from the chat. We'll start with the super chat here. Can the Lakers actually get Jonathan Kuminga? If not, who can they get? Kuminga is doing this all again. Can they? Sure. They just have to do it through a sign and trade. They don't have the flexibility to sign him outright or anything unless he wanted to play for a minimum, which pretty certain he doesn't want to do that. So would have to be a sign and trade. Right now, it does seem like it's the Lakers and Cavs that are attempting to execute a sign and trade with the Atlanta Hawks. And Keith, we talked about this just the other day. I clipped the portion of our show where we talked about it, put it up on Lakers Nation. It sounds like the ball right now is mostly in Jonathan Kuminga's court.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's been other reporting that it's kind of backed up the things that I said I was hearing, back in summer league and even since being home over the last week or so, is that he wants, if he's taking less money, he wants to do a 1-year deal. And if he's going to sign a longer term deal, he wants to be paid what he feels is his value, which is north of 20 million. And that means it has to be at least a 3-year deal. And I do want to correct something. You caught it. And I said I would check, and I did check after the NyQuil wore off the other day. You cannot, if you have a player option or a team option, it has to be a 4-year deal.
4 years. So it could be a 4th-year player option.
4th-year player option. So let's see. I think this is probably going to be one that just drags out a little bit longer. Again, it's I kind of always put an unofficial timeline of Labor Day weekend just after that on these things, just so teams are ready to go for training camp. But this one could go a little while.
Mark Stein, I don't recall if it was Jake Fisher or Stein who wrote the piece, but mentioned that there's belief within Kuminga's camp that if he waits it out, the deals will improve and more money will be found.
I don't know where they're getting them from.
I disagree with so much of what Kuminga has done on the market. And I'm trying to take the Lakers bias out of that. But man, it feels like the perception of him around the NBA is not the same as his perception of himself or his team's perception of him and his value. It's surprising that this is happening all over again, it feels like.
Yeah, I think it's just very the challenge for Jonathan Kuminga is like I think at some point it's going to be all right if the money is, because we're not talking like he's choosing between $3 million and and he wants 25. Like teams are offering, sounds like somewhere in the range of 10 to 18 million. Well, I know that's a pretty big range, but that's kind of covering from the room exception through the non-taxpayer. And I think for him, that's where, yeah, if you can land right around the non-taxpayer, I think you just got to do it. And then maybe it does have to be through a sign and trade, and you're just gonna have to play it out and figure it out and go. But yeah, if you when you're in a second straight year of this, it's just not great. And I'll kind of take you off the hook a little bit because I don't think it's your Lakers bias coming in here at all. I don't see where big money offers are coming from him from anywhere. One team has cap space left. That's the Brooklyn Nets. And that's only 13 million. So in the teams that have the full non-taxpayer don't seem to be jumping at like, got to give it all to Jonathan Kuminga. And then sign and trade opportunities sounds like it's kind of the Lakers, and that's kind of it. But yeah, it's a weird it's just a weird situation that they've put themselves in once again.
And it sounded like he doesn't want to lock himself into 3 years of 15-ish million, somewhere in that range, right? Of 3 years of that. And I just think, when Shams reported it last year, the deal with the Warriors, the reporting was, there's a team option on the second year, but the understanding is that the team is expected to not pick up that team option so he can sign a new long-term deal. And as though he was taking this discount off of what he should be getting. And there's kind of a handshake deal here that the team will not pick up the team option so that he can get a new deal and get paid more. Well, as it turns out, the Hawks declined the $25 million team option, but not because Jonathan Kuminga deserves so much more, but because they don't think he's worth $25 million.
Yep.
Like that's where you wound up. So if a team's coming in and saying, we'll commit 3 years, let's call it, 50 million to you, somewhere in that vicinity, I don't think that should be scoffed at, or that should be looked at and thought of as, oh, well, I should really be getting 60. Like I'd be very, very cautious if I were him in this situation right now, because we've seen a number of times throughout NBA history where players have thought they were worth maybe a bit more than what they were actually getting, and they pushed and they, hashtag bet on myself, all that kind of stuff. And it didn't work out. There's guys it's worked out for, but there's a lot of guys that it hasn't. So I think you just got to be careful in this situation if you're Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah, and if I'm the Lakers, I'm not moving much off of what I have already said. Like Vanderbilt pretty much has to be a part of it just to make the salary matching work. But I'm not giving up more than what they've already said. And I'm certainly not going to be, all right, he wants to be at 24 million a year. All right, let us find another couple guys to throw in a trade. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to hold firm and say, no, it's just not really worth it. And on the Hawks side too, then it's like, all right, well, we got to pull a third team in because we don't necessarily have roster spots to bring in 3 for 1 or 4 for 1 in a trade. So yeah, I kind of wonder if this turns out into like, all right, he just resigns with the Hawks for like 1 year at 20 million or so, and then it becomes, all right, let's play it out, and then he's a trade guy again at the trade deadline and go forward from there. What are they? They are challenges are only about 3.8 million under the luxury tax.
They're right there at the tax. So do they want to go into the tax for him?
Yeah, that's tough, and that's part of the challenge with taking on the money for Vanderbilt and the other guys.
That's why I think there's got to be a third team.
Yeah, there would have to be. And there are plenty of third teams that are, still miles from the tax. I mean, that's where the Nets would be like, hey, wrote a draft pick our way, and we'll do it for, 13 million. And boy, Jared Vanderbilt's 12 million fits kind of nicely right into that remaining cap space there in Brooklyn. So who knows?
All right, let's go here. What are the cap space teams for next year in the scenario that Watson and or Duren take the qualifying offer?
Yeah, I did. I called them my way too early cap space projections for next year because it's very, very.
Is that
early.
On X?
Yeah, I put that out there. But it was days and days ago, so you probably can't find it. Because I tweet too much. But it's the Nets again, about 68.6 million. The Bulls 55.6. So there we go again. Clippers right now, who knows, but somewhere in the range of like 53.8 million. Then you've got some teams that are just behind them. Milwaukee should have about 43 million. Detroit, depending what happens with Duren, could be up over 40 right around 44 million. Hawks could actually have cap space next summer, which is kind of interesting, considering all they've done. That's 29 million. Some of that may get eaten up in an Okongwu extension. Let's see what happens there. And then Memphis, 36 million, and then Sacramento about 31.5 million. So they should be there. Yeah, and Sky Falcon in the chat says Warriors can have a lot of cap space. They could. That would mean that you are not necessarily that they're leaving, but you're announcing the rights to like Draymond Green and Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler and all that. And I know Sky Falcon's a regular watcher and listener of the show. So let's do a little bit of math for our friend here on the fly. They could get to about $93 million in cap space if they really wanted to. So that'd be kind of interesting to see what that would look like.
So, and we have to keep in mind with all these projections, these are very much not set in stone, right?
Yeah.
Things change very quickly.
Now.
Right. Things can change very quickly.
Yeah.
All right.
My cap space projections, I'll continue to do them. I'll do another round is when we get into the start of the season, kind of to set the tone for the season and what may happen with trades going forward. And then, but when they really kind of more or less lock in and stabilize is when we get after the trade deadline, because that's really kind of the last chance to move big money.
Keith, what's the latest you've heard on Peyton Watson? Do you think he takes the qualifying offer?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the qualifying offer is something that they want to do now, which makes sense, right? That's something you can wait on and do,
that's a last minute
later. Exactly. So it sounds like the first preference is get something done with the Nuggets. He wants to stay with the Nuggets. Sounds like the Nuggets want him. I was told that some of the reported offers out there are a little lower than what's actually been offered. And then I think Stein and Fisher had some reporting to the contrary of some of that as well. But that's just, could just be a sourcing thing. It could also be this is what was offered at this time. This is what was offered at this time down the line with that. So we'll see, where that goes. And then if he can't work something out there, then they'd prefer let's do something through a sign and trade where he can land at another place. There's not going to be an offer sheet for him. Nobody, again, it's really the Nets are the only ones with cap space. And if somebody team threw the non-taxpayer mid-level at him, Denver would absolutely match that and just figure it out later, because I think 15 million for Peyton Watson feels a little low. I think he wants to be somewhere in the Christian Brown range, which quite frankly I can't blame him. I think
that's
he's a better player than
right
Christian
now.
Brown. Yeah,
certainly. If you say that, like, Peyton Watson should get more than Jonathan Kuminga, correct?
Yeah, I would.
I certainly would. Like, if you told me both guys are the same price, I would much rather have Peyton Watson than Jonathan Kuminga. And if you are Peyton Watson and the Nuggets paid Christian Brown last year and not you, and then you had the better season, you're looking at that contract saying, okay, my turn, let's go. It'll be interesting to see ultimately how that situation plays out. Yeah. I wonder if Trevor and or Keith have watched The Odyssey. Keith, I know you have. I have.
Yeah, I went and saw it in the theater on I don't know what day it was this week, but one day this week. I went and watched it in the theaters, and I'm going tomorrow. Double movie week for me, rarity.
Oh boy,
going to see Spider-Man.
Let's
tomorrow.
go.
So I'm fired up for that. So
I think I will wind up seeing that one in the theater. My daughter's now getting into Spider-Man and nice. Everything. So I'm going to do that, but obviously not tomorrow. Those tickets were sold out, but maybe later.
Yeah, we bought them the day they went on sale, just to make sure I could get them. And it's kind of an early birthday present to me because Friday is my birthday.
That's right. So are we going to do front office Friday birthday?
Yeah, no doubt. Yep, of course. Absolutely.
Let's go. Rockets fan here. I enjoy watching Lakers Nation.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, sure.
Appreciate you
for that. Yeah.
We are very welcoming.
I like watching Lakers Nation after they lose. That's my favorite time.
That's your favorite thing. Everybody handles it very rationally.
Oh yeah,
as they do when they win. When they win, they will never lose ever again. And when they lose, the sky is falling and earth is plummeting into darkness.
Our brethren in green and purple have a lot more in common than I think they would ever like to know they have in common.
Probably. Probably. I heard the market will pick up when LeBron signs somewhere. He signed with the Sixers, and the market is still slow. Now they're blaming it on restricted free agents, Duran Mathurin and Peyton Watson. I don't know if that's what I mean. I think part of it is the domino that most were expecting to fall was Jonathan Kuminga, and that didn't. I really thought there was going to be something almost immediately with the Cavs after if LeBron picked not the Cavs.
There was Mario Hezonja.
Well, yeah, it wound up being not Kuminga. It was Mario Hezonja, and that situation is fascinating in and of itself with Real Madrid trying to keep Hezonja, maybe, or at least trying to keep his rights should he come back.
And did you see the other rumor that the Cavs are only signing him, then they're going to waive him so that he can go to Barcelona?
Yep.
Instead, which is like, why the Cavs would get?
Why would the Cavs do that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm not really sure.
Right. But as far as the market being slow, well, part of it is there's not a lot left to happen right now.
That's exactly it.
And then, my hope was that a few things would go down. The Hezonja thing, went down, but maybe we'd get another few moves that would take place. There are still guys out there like we talked about DeMar DeRozan, right? My hope was that there'd be a few more things that would happen, but so far, we're getting into August here, just about, and I think because the money's dried up, you don't get that rush to like go get something done now, because the offer that you have right now is probably going to be real similar to the offer a month from now. Yeah,
now it's very situational of where do I want to be for a lot of guys, because most teams are down to the either the taxpayer mid-level amount or a portion of the non-taxpayer or the minimum. So once it's there, you could kind of take your time a little bit there and just kind of figure that out. And then I think Draymond Green did agree to his contract. We expect Harden sometime in the next day or two as well with Cleveland. So then Cleveland can move on with the rest of their offseason. So I think we're kind of down to. Then after that, it's a lot of role players who are left minus the 3 restricted guys. And those 3 restricted guys, I think, are going to take a little while before we get anything moving on that.
All right. Did you all talk about Curry leaving Golden State?
We didn't, but mostly for me, I don't think he's going to. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just being a sentimental idiot, but I don't know. I just don't I just can't see him leaving the Warriors unless they're certainly not going to trade him unless he says, I want to go somewhere. And I just don't see that happening.
I mean, look, Damian Lillard got traded. Now he's back, but Damian Lillard left Portland.
Sure.
Like it could happen, but I just don't think it's going to either. I have a hard time and you know what? I'll say this. I hope it doesn't, because I think it's so special and rare for a player to spend their entire career with one team. Yeah. And for a guy like Steph, I would like to see him stay with the Warriors. That said, things are not good in Golden State right now. The way the offseason has progressed for them, the moves they've not made, basically, like it's not great. It's not great. And I know a lot of Warriors fans are upset.
I was doing a lot of kind of building out as we get ready. When we move into August and we start talking about like what did the teams do and setting up for the season, I was building out the sheets of like who left, who came in, kind of starting to plan for our tier work that we generally like to do at that time of year. And one of the things I was really heavily looking at was like, I don't know that they're even a play-in tournament team. This year with
Utah and some of the other teams stepping up.
Utah getting better and a couple others. I mean, maybe they still will be, and I'm not going to bet against Stephen Curry, but I mean, it's like he's missed time. Draymond misses time. Kristaps Porzingis misses time every year. Al Horford wasn't very good for them and older, and he may miss time. Butler and Moody aren't going to play till maybe the All-Star break at the earliest. For those guys, like that's 2 massive losses. So I just, it's a team where like how much can Steph carry them really kind of by himself? Because like there's just not a lot else there offensively on that team, and that's what I'm worried about. Like what they really need if they're going to be any kind of like threat for the top 6 or even in the top half of the play-in tournament, they need Porzingis to have like a throwback year where he plays like 70 games and is like awesome. And I could see him being awesome. I just can't see him playing that many games. Like I wouldn't bet on him play much more than half a season.
And that's the problem that Golden State's got. One of the problems that they've got. It could be an unfortunate way to see Steph Curry's career, wind down. But you never say never in this league. Things change very, very quickly. Is Hardy trade eligible right now?
Yeah, he is. And he can actually be aggregated. We fixed that on the Spot Track trade machine because of the way the Lakers very smartly synchronize their moves. They acquired Jaden Hardy when they still had cap space. So because he was acquired when they were under the cap, he can be immediately reaggregated. So if let's just say the Kuminga contract, they need to get to 18 million, you could put him in with Vanderbilt outgoing and get to that number if they needed to get there. So yeah, 6 million in tradable salary. I kind of think though, I'm curious your thought on this. Let's say the Lakers don't do anything with Kuminga, and outside of filling out the training camp roster, this is the roster. Who's the odd man out?
Dalton Connect.
Yeah, I'm between Hardy and Connect.
I just think they just went and got Hardy, and so probably winds up being Dalton Connect. I just think because where it would come down to is it would be a little bit of goodwill, because I think you and I are in agreement of this, that if Dalton Connect gets his career back on track, it's probably not happening with the Lakers. He probably needs a fresh start somewhere. And so it would be, not only do the Lakers need a roster spot, but he needs opportunity to go somewhere else where he can play more. And so I think it would be, that would tip the scales towards him rather than Hardy being the guy to go.
The heck is 550 joules?
Okay, so I need to talk about this because we just got this today on Lakers Collective. I didn't know what it was. Jovan and Pete were telling me about it. They got into it last week. It's a thing on YouTube apparently where people can contribute joules and somehow that boosts your reach or something. Yeah. I got to dig into it a little bit more. But but if you're watching like not on our backstage area here, if you're like watching on the channel, it does like an animation thing over in the chat.
We'll have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't usually go back and watch the show because I generally think I know what we said. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I think with that's where I am. I'm between Hardy just because there's a lot of depth already at that position on the team. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think it's probably time for Dalton Connect, and that might even be one where it's like, all right, late training camp is over, late in the preseason. Can we just salary move him to another team where he might get a chance to play? And then let them decide on his team option for next year.
All right, let's check this out. Greetings from Australia.
Oh, hello, governor.
I love your work. If you are going to tender for an expansion team, would it go against the agreement to contact contracted players now to start the setup of the team, or is it not allowed?
Yeah, you can't talk to anybody who's under contract.
Yeah.
Same deal with that. Expansion teams in the past, we have seen them sign some free agents even ahead of the expansion draft. But those are like free agents that they're bringing in for the next year, not signed, but at least agree with, I guess is the better way to put that, with some of those guys. But yeah, you couldn't talk to players under contract right now. And I've got some stuff about expansion coming in a piece that should hopefully post tomorrow for Spot Track. So,
hey, when is your Western Conference notebook coming out?
Yeah, that's that piece. That'll be the lead part of that piece. I always try to do like around the league, kind of general league topic notes, and then the piece. So yeah, it'll come in there. I got some pretty good notes on the Lakers. I think nothing like that's like, oh my gosh, like drop everything like newsy, but just kind of where the team sees themselves at.
I may need a little sneak peek at that. I'm looking for something to talk about.
Okay.
J-Rod said, haha, when will we get the multiverse of podcast hosts to have Donnie and Jovan join you guys for a super podcast? I don't know. At some point, we'll make that.
Yeah, we could do that. I had dinner with Jovan in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
It was a dinner that Nate Duncan put together for everybody who like does his show throughout the course of the year, and Jovan's his Lakers guy that he uses, and I did the mock off season there. So yeah, so we got to see
cool.
him. He's very tall.
He's very tall.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking who would win in a game of basketball between me and Jovan. I'm like, Jovan, he's like a foot taller than me.
Yeah, he's very tall. Yeah, Nate's also very tall too. So I was like, I felt like I was the Odysseus and his men fighting the giants on the island.
What is the Misi and Bay combo price? First round pick for each one, according to the Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, reality is probably a first and a player, or something like that would make sense to me. Sadiq Bey had a really good year for them last year, and a lot of people really like him. And teams have kind of chased Yves Misi before, so I that's probably close.
I like this. Stop saying hello, governor, for Aussies. That's the UK.
You don't get the joke. Yeah. So funny thing, we had quite a few Australian students in sports business classroom. I think we had 8 or 10. This year, there's always a big group that comes over. They come over from Deakin University, which is a school in Australia, is where most of them come over from. And several of them listened to the show, and they were like, the shrimp on the Barbie thing is the funniest thing to them, that like that's what we say every time it's someone from some not Australian country. And then they're like, for Australia, it's like you go with the like tacky British accent.
I know you don't watch. I haven't watched the show in a little bit because I am nowhere near ready for fantasy football season or anything. But they do that bit on the fantasy footballers?
No.
Yeah, for anybody that's from anywhere, it's bonjour.
Oh, nice.
It's the exact same bit. And I'm like, Keith doesn't even know that this exists and is out there in the pod sphere. What is the latest with Jalen Duren? Is he 50-50 to go with the qualifying offer?
Doesn't sound like he's anywhere near entertaining the qualifying offer yet, which he shouldn't be. It sounds like that one's going to get done. And that's just talking to people on both sides, myself feeling very confident this will get done. They will come to an agreement because Duren knows he needs the Pistons. Pistons don't. They need Duren. They know they have a good thing going. I don't think he wants to not be with Cade Cunningham. So yeah, I think that's going to be how that kind of all comes together.
All right. Does anyone know when the Lakers are going to Slovenia? It was mid-August, I believe. In fact, I need to do something on that. Maybe.
All right. Can you pronounce the town?
Oh, no, definitely not. I'm just happy that I've got Mamukelashvili down.
Yeah, there you go. Well done. That's good, though. That's a good
one
to have down. It's Ljubljana.
Ljubljana.
Yeah, I believe that's how you say it. I apologize for offending any of our Slovenian viewers here if I did get that wrong.
Oh, actually, Dave didn't say mid-August. He just said in August. So I don't know when. For some reason in my head, I'd read mid-August.
I would imagine it's probably mid-August because I can't imagine it's in like the next week, and then everybody will want to be home at the end of August for that. I mean, that's cool though. Like, I'll be very curious to like, is it really everybody? Like, I mean, Jackson Hayes should be there. Slovenian native Jackson Hayes should just show up to hang out and play with his old friends. But yeah, that's we'll see with that.
Keith, what is the most time-consuming part of when you analyze players and/or contracts?
Oh boy.
To me, it depends on the player.
Yeah. So I'm gonna separate them into two very different things here, because analyzing the players is more about what they can do on court. And that's just feeling comfortable that I've seen enough of the player to have an opinion. And I'm really going more into like the newer players into the league or new faces in new places. Like that is what I generally spend the most time on in the first month or so of the season. Is I like to try to see as many games as I can. I want to see generally by the time and when I say month, I really mean like through Thanksgiving. I want to see a minimum of 10 games of like all of the key new guys somewhere before I start to really speak too much about it. Every once in a while, somebody's like, yeah, you can just see it right away. It's a perfect fit, and you just don't need a whole lot of time with it. And then on the contract side, it's digging out contract details is probably the most time consuming part of it for me. Now most contracts, I've been doing this long enough, I can have a pretty good sense of where it's going to be. But digging out, like if it's not a max, it's not a minimum, it's not an exception, is there some kind of weird structure to that? and that can be kind of time consuming. And it's not like, I mean, I have no pretenses that I'm Shams or Jake or Mark Stein or anybody like that. So it's not always something that, people necessarily want to give up. And quite frankly, the answer I get a lot is you'll find out eventually. So like, I'm not going to give it to you now. So, and that's okay too. But in the end, I feel pretty confident that I always get there. So, yeah. Shout out to Spot Track again. I think we've got the best publicly available salary information anywhere,
for sure,
out in the world.
When I'm starting to dig into a player, what I tend to like to do is I'll first do like a quick look at some of the highlights and things like that and say, okay, what is this guy at his best? But then what I like to do is go to multiple actual games. And I know that sounds like, obvious, right? But watch the player, really follow that player, learn his tendencies, and go through and use the NBA League Pass, go back in, watch multiple games of that player actually playing, get a real sense, because invariably I'll have seen the player play multiple times over the course of the year, but specifically watching that player, tracking where that player's going, the way that they're running, the way they're operating, all of that, that gives me a much clearer picture than just if you go watch the highlights of a player and look at the stat sheet and everything like that. It can be a little bit more time consuming. The NBA League Pass app does have a condensed game that will cut out all the stoppages and things like that, so you can see a full game in about 40 minutes or so. And so that's very, very useful. But that will usually be like the final step to really putting all the pieces from the stats, the analytics, the watching what the player's best at in terms of what are the big fun moments the players had over the course of the season, put all the pieces together and go watch the player actually go through a game and the way they're operating. That's the way I like to go about it.
Yeah, I do. I've gotten increasingly more over the last, really since the pandemic, into scouting for players as they're coming up and coming. And King Core asks a really good question here. Do you ever watch how he acts on the bench? We're watching an NBA game, especially if we're watching on TV, that can be very hard. You're not always going to see the player on the bench, but if you're in person, that is something that I will focus on, especially if it's like, if there's been rumors of like, this guy's not happy or something like that, you want to see him. One of the things that I do a lot of, especially with younger players, because I'm not affiliated with any team, I can go to any high school gym, and I'm very fortunate. I live near Montverde Academy, IMG Academy in Tampa. I have some high level high school programs nearby, where I can go and watch those players. And one of the things I like to do is, how do they treat like the student manager? How do they treat the assistant coaches? How do they treat, parents and just the little kids at these schools after the games? Because that can really give you a sense on where it's at. And that's intel that I'll often provide to teams or to agents in the like, from the time when they were anywhere from 15 to 18 years old on the high school level, is, hey, when I saw this guy, and I try to be very honest about it, where it's like, hey, we got to kind of let people know where it's at. So I spend a lot of time, watching guys at that level. And then with the college level, one of the things I'm trying to be very conscious of is not just like watching the game and then making all of my evaluation based on basketball. If I can gather the off court kind of intel piece, which I am like, I try to bring this up every year when we get into the draft process, is we are in a place where that is equally as important. All of that stuff. It's kind of three layers that go into it. You have the on-court production, you have the physical and the medical. That's obviously huge. And then the other part is where does it get to with their off court? What is going on? What kind of person are they? How do they act? How do they treat people and all that? And what NBA teams will do is, when they send their scouts on campus, they'll get on campus and they'll go like talk to like the cafeteria workers, like, hey, when this guy comes through, how does he treat people? How does he treat people at the apartment complex, wherever it is? Because you're trying to build as much of a book as you can with these guys. Somebody says, if you see me, be on your best behavior. I will be completely honest, and I have nothing to gain by saying this. 99.9% of basketball players are fantastic. Like they are so great with, especially those who don't know, like Montverde Academy is like a full school. So there's like kids from kindergarten all the way through high school at that school, and they don't play a ton of home games. And when they're playing at home, they're there. That's like, for them, it's like Cooper Flag and all those guys are like, super duper stars. And I have only seen a couple guys who only once or twice, and it was probably just a bad day because other times they weren't this way. It is those guys they're great with with the kids, with with everybody. I mean, you get a bad apple once in a while, and that's why you hear about it so much when it comes up. Is like, hey, this guy's kind of a jerk. He doesn't treat people well. You hear about it more because it's pretty rare that comes. I think most basketball players, I can't speak for other sports because I'm not involved like that. But with those guys, it's you get like they're just pretty good people in general. So that's just something there. Somebody said they thought I was in Boston. I've not lived in Boston for a very long time. I've lived not in Boston almost, actually more than I've lived in Florida now. So yeah, crazy.
Let's go
near Brookline High School. I used to live right near Brookline High School. That's funny.
We'll finish with this one. Did you all see the Drew Holiday being bought out rumor? No,
that was a Sixers fan fiction, I think. I don't think that was a real thing. I would be very surprised if that's a thing. Portland does have to figure out something with all those guards.
Yeah,
we'll get into that when we talk a lot more about the guys with the previews as we get into everything in the offseason wrap-ups and all that stuff. Bradley Beal to the Pistons? Yeah, maybe. I don't mind the fit.
It could happen.
Sure. Another shooter? Yeah, why not? So, yeah.
Oh, all right, everybody.
More jewels.
Yeah, we got a high five.
There we go.
Let's go. Apparently, you can cash in the jewels. They turn into rubies or something. I don't know. I was just doing a quick search on it.
Turn into this, starting to sound like Clash of Clans or something. Like,
I don't know how it all works. We'll figure it out.
We're all drippy pretty soon because we're all layered up in the ice.
We're wearing rubies, right?
We're icy. So that's people are like, oh, great. Now we can't say that term anymore. Now the old
that's gone now.
So when we all see Spider-Man, I'm seeing it tomorrow. Super psyched. So yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah. Look, we got over an hour, and this was great.
We did.
And, so show tomorrow, probably not unless there's something major that happens. But then we'll be back to back for Front Office Friday at some point. Watch the socials, and we'll let you know when.
All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.